I think something that I observed in terms of myself going into it the first couple months is how my dependence or lack thereof in certain scenarios, like there would be times where he would say, oh, I'll handle this, but then you notice that like it's not being handled.
Oh, yeah.
And so trying to
not being handled or the way you would like it to be handled?
maybe let's say both.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And so just trusting that if he says he'll do something, that he'll do it, and just finding that balance with, okay, I didn't realize how much of an independent person that I was prior to. And it's like, I can easily just take this task and just do it and get it done and it'll be done. I won't have to worry about it. But if he says he's gonna do it, trusting that he'll do it. And if he doesn't, finding a way to gently like communicate, like, hey, do you remember, you mentioned that you would do X, Y, and Z. How's that coming along? So,
where are you at with that task? Do you need some support?
Yes.
That?
Yeah. So just kind of relinquishing some of the control that I had prior to marriage, and that's an ongoing. I won't say that it's something that's completely resolved. Of course, we are only a year in it. I'm sure it's going to take time, but that's something that I will say I noticed. Like, I was more independent than I thought I was going into it. Having to really work as a team through a lot, and trusting that he'll hold his what he says he will.
Yeah, the shift from independence to interdependence is one of the biggest shifts that people don't expect. And what I'll ask as a follow-up is that, do you set the expectation when you ask for something? Do you set the expectation or the timeline of when you want it to get done? Because most of the time when y'all say can you, y'all mean right now. Y'all don't mean later when we have time. Y'all don't mean y'all don't care about what we doing. Y'all mean do it right now. So do we set expectations, or is there unspoken expectations that then cause you to feel the way that you feel?
There definitely may be unspoken expectations, which is why I don't trip out about it, because I know that there's a part of me. There's a part of me
like,
that
deep down I want to crash out, but I won't.
Because you really have to pick and choose your battles, and especially if there's a part of you that could have handled it differently. And so that's something that this might be the first time you heard me say this. So so it hasn't been much of an issue for me, because I think a lot of it is me navigating the changes of myself. Like, I'm holding the mirror up to me first before I'm coming to him, like, okay, what can I do to aid in this before I just, you didn't do this when you said you're like, I'm trying to see how I can better myself before I just.
Is that what you sound like in your head when you about to say it to him?
Yeah.
I was getting ready to call her inner pop-off queen. The inner pop-off queen.
That is that.
Welcome to another episode of The Winning Team. I am Eugene.
I'm LaTanya.
And we are the
winning team.
Man, we are so excited about today's episode. As you see, we are not sitting here alone. We have a couple that is sitting with us that we love, that we have had the honor and the privilege to watch just grow and to become one, and even be, I was honored to be a part of the day of them becoming one.
Yes, on your birthday.
On your birthday.
On your birthday.
On my birthday.
On your birthday.
So we welcome Jalen and Amber Jones to the podcast today.
Hey,
man.
Wow.
Yes, right. And they're extra special. These are our very first guests.
First
So honored.
I don't know about y'all. That's a lot of pressure. The
Pressure.
first?
Yeah.
Ooh, we've been married
Y'all got
2 days.
On your first anniversary, you can do the first podcast. Yep, all the first. Yes, all the things. Yeah. Step into it, lean into it. Y'all got it. Yep.
So actually just tell us a little bit about how y'all met. And whatever you want to share about yourself.
You go.
Oh.
That on the spot.
Right. Just right out the gate.
Yeah.
So we met in college. We both attended Ball State University.
Chirp, chirp.
Chirp. Church.
Oh, nice.
Shout out
Church.
Ball State.
Okay.
So we stayed in the same dorm. I ran track, and then he played basketball as well. So they had a special dorm for athletes and then the international students. But that's how we ended up meeting. We stayed on different floors. It was co-ed, but you know they had to make sure all was well. Separated by gender. Each floor, but we ended up having some mutual friends and then ended up meeting that way. I cannot pinpoint the exact day that we met, and I wish I could. That'd be so beautiful to have the day one story, but in short, that's how we met.
Yeah.
Okay. So was it love at first sight or was it a process?
Process. 100%. Process.
Yes.
100%.
Yes.
So like she said, we met through a mutual friend. And so we'll shout her out. Shout out to Bird.
Yeah.
Hey, Bird.
Yeah,
Hey,
she
Bird, you
actually
watching.
met her in the study lab in our dorm. She was on the phone with her significant other at the other time, and they were going back and forth, and I was cracking up at their conversation, and we kind of hit it off, became friends. And so, you know, her friends who were the teammates, Amber. And
So this was one of my track teammates.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
they're really close, and like some of my friends that I knew, we got together, met one time, and then from there, the relationships grew. And so when we met, we were friends, and we're both dating at that time, like long distance. We're dating someone here back at home. And so we were only friends. And then I think the second semester is when we had a class together. So from just knowing each other to sharing space, spending time together, studying, and really grew a relationship. And so I feel like that was the foundation of our relationship now. Like it was a friendship.
Yeah.
And not only that, I'm sure you were probably going to get there at some point, but I'll share it now. Like we have the same last name.
Oh yeah.
So fun fact about us, our last name was Jones before we got married. And so we used to play on it. Like people would tell you like at school, our relationship, like our friendship was so tight, like people thought we were related.
Wow.
And we used to play on it. Like that's my brother, that's my sister. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so imagine when the time came
You're
where
like, what?
Confused.
I was
And questioning.
perplexed. I was perplexed.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
That's so
that is
awesome.
I was gonna bring it up during the introduction. But I was like, no, Eugene, this is not your story to tell. It's not your story
It's
to
the
tell.
Jones
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, so that's
Good
awesome.
job.
So, you know, I'm excited to hear, you know, because a lot of people don't value, especially nowadays, don't value being friends or don't understand the value of being friends before. And, you know, I know y'all are 1 year in, but tell me a little bit more about how you believe your friendship helped you, even now reflecting on 1 year in. And we'll talk a little more in a second.
So
Great question.
I feel like we've heard the saying, like when love fails, because you're friends, you still like each other. And I think that like rings true for us. Like when in doubt, if and when there's a disagreement or you're not on one accord, like when the love, quote unquote, fails, like we genuinely like each other.
Yeah.
Like genuinely like each other.
That's
Like
important.
Yes.
we're legit friends.
Yes.
And so even in terms of how we communicate, how we talk to each other, like I'm approaching my friend. I'm not just approaching a woman that I know, but it's a certain level of respect, a certain level of love that I speak to her through when I'm approaching her, regardless of what it is. And so I think that shows up a lot in our dynamic at home, the energy, just fun. Like I'm just doing life with my best friend.
It's so much fun.
Yeah.
So I piggyback everything that he said. It's just been a joy to just see how that friendship has been able to evolve in marriage. And I've just been so appreciative that that's something that we can always, and not necessarily fall back on, but just go back to when in doubt. Our friendship is always like a pillar of who we are.
That's great.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people feel like, you know, we were friends, we know each other, and then you get married and then you move in together.
Yeah.
And then you realize like, wait a minute. So what did you learn about yourselves in the first few months of being married and then now living together?
That we're different. Really different.
Say more. Say more. Wherever you feel comfortable with it. Say more.
We're different.
Yes.
like just in terms of what you want to do when you're at home. Like I am up. like that alarm clock will go off. It may take me a while to get up and get out the bed, but once I'm up a lot earlier than she is, and she's a sleeper. Like she can sleep. She can sleep all day. Get up, eat, and go back to sleep. I'm like, are you not tired of sleeping? Like, sit up, sit with me. If we don't say nothing, just look at each other. Like, why are you asleep? Like, I don't want to sleep. I slept all night. I'm good on sleep.
There's a time and place to sleep. You are over the sleep time. Yeah.
And like, mind you, like that's something that I knew going in. But now, like, we're living together, and so she's at home and she's comfortable, and so all she really want to do is sleep. Yeah. She's like, "Oh, I'm at peace. That's like good. I'm safe when I'm around you, so I'm just gonna sleep."
How does that impact your marriage? I know, we're being joking about it right now, but how does that impact you from a husband-wife standpoint when you say we're different in that way?
I think for me, sometimes I lean into it and I'm like, okay, this could be a sign for me to rest too, because I'm always on go and can find something to do. And other times I can use that to just give her that space and that time to rest. And so I try my best to put myself in her shoes as much as I can. So when I see that, okay, she's resting, I'm thinking through like, what did she do? Or like how difficult work was. And I know we'll probably get into that in terms of what we do for work, but I've never been in the hospital or know the stress that goes into the job. So I can never, judge her for that, but trying to put myself in her shoes and say, okay, if she is resting at this time, what can I be doing? Whether working or reading or whatever the case may be, but I can't say it's impacted us in a way that was detrimental or I felt the way, but I like a difference I could, speak to.
That's great. So different. Any other differences? I'm sorry.
I think something that I observed in terms of myself going into it the first couple months is how my dependence or lack thereof in certain scenarios, like there would be times where he would say, "Oh, I'll handle this," but then you notice that like it's not being handled. And so trying to
not being handled or the way you would like it to be handled.
Maybe let's say both. And so just trusting that if he says he'll do something, that he'll do it, and just finding that balance with, okay, I didn't realize how much of an independent person that I was prior to. And it's like, I can easily just take this task and just do it and get it done and it'll be done. I won't have to worry about it. But if he says he's going to do it, trusting that he'll do it. And if he doesn't, finding a way to gently like communicate, like, hey, do you remember, you mentioned that you would do X, Y, and Z. How's that coming along? So,
where are you at with that task? Do you need some support from that?
Yeah. So just kind of relinquishing some of the control that I had prior to marriage. And that's an ongoing, I won't say that it's something that's completely resolved. Of course, we are only a year in it. I'm sure it's going to take time, but that's something that I will say I noticed like, I was more independent than I thought I was going into it, having to really work as a team through a lot and trusting that he'll hold his, what he says he will.
The shift from independence to interdependence is one of the biggest shifts that people don't expect. And what I'll ask as a follow-up is that, do you set the expectation when you ask for something? Do you set the expectation or the timeline of when you want it to get done? Because most of the time when y'all say, can you, y'all mean right now. Y'all don't mean later when we have time. Y'all don't mean y'all don't care about what we doing. Y'all mean do it right now. So do we set expectations, or is there unspoken expectations that then cause you to feel the way that you feel?
There definitely may be unspoken expectations, which is why I don't trip out about it, because I know that there's a part of me. There's a part of me
She's like,
that
deep down, I want to crash out, but I won't.
Because you really have to pick and choose your battles and especially if there's a part of you that could have handled it differently. And so that's something that this might be the first time you heard me say this.
Mm-hmm.
So, so it hasn't been, it hasn't been much of an issue for me because I think a lot of it is me navigating the changes of myself. Like I'm holding the mirror up to me first before I'm coming to him. Like, okay, what can I do to aid in this before I just, you didn't do this when you said you're like, I'm trying to see how I can better myself before I just.
Is that what you sound like in your head when you about to say it to him?
Yeah.
I was getting ready to call her inner pop-off queen. The inner pop-off queen. That might be some of that. I think it's finding your rhythm. Like we talk a lot about that. And as marriage evolves and it's a different rhythm. Like our rhythm at year 1 and our rhythm at year, when are we at? 23? 23. At year 23 is different. And it's this ebb and flows of it. And just when you got the rhythm, something else, something else. It's a move, it's a kid, it's a job change, So I think it's, I love how you all are kind of approaching that and building the rhythm. Because that's really, really what you're doing is beginning to build this chapter of the rhythm and putting some of yourselves to the kind of that dying to self kind of thing. And now into, all right, well, how do we become one? How are we becoming us? How are we cleaving to our husband and wife? And so it's a journey. Like that's a journey. The fact that you all have language for it is just, I think huge. And so I don't know if you had that language. Do we have that language now?
Which language?
Of how we express our rhythm. We probably got it now.
I think so. I think the rhythm is just, I appreciate what you said, Amber, in regards to self-reflecting first, because I didn't always do that. And when someone is not meeting an expectation, or when your spouse is not meeting the expectation, initially you go for, I don't understand why they or why you are not doing what I said. And it becomes more of, I'm not happy with this. And as opposed to, what could I have done differently? And so when you immediately take accountability to say, hey, what could I have done differently? You then can have control. Because otherwise, in a relationship, when you're shifting from independence to interdependence, you will feel out of control. Right. And a lot of times that's when those expectations can turn into pressure that you just were not expecting. And so it can be a lot of inner turmoil and overthinking and musing over stuff that you're frustrated about. And even the pressure begins to build because you can't control what the other person does. And that can become very, very, very frustrating. And so for us, the rhythm was, okay, I know she just came in and she just threw all her stuff on the floor and on the table. And so I hope she gonna pick that up. And I'm not gonna say nothing about it right now, but she'll get around to it eventually. And so, the rhythm was, I don't understand why she keep throwing this stuff everywhere. But now the rhythm is, just pick it up. Because it's 23 years later and she's still doing it, so that don't mean she probably ain't gonna stop.
Probably not. Probably not. What's the thing? Like, is that gonna be the thing? Like, pick the thing. Like, there could be so many things. Like, let's not make that the thing. So we can pick the thing. So
exactly. And so when you think about expectations for me, and I'm so glad you went there, because expectations to me is the single greatest reason why marriages don't work. Now, most people say, they say money, they say sex, but to me, it's the expectations around those things, spoken or unspoken. And then that initially, because we all have an expectation or a visual or even this perception of what we thought marriage would be. So now you guys are a year in. What expectations did you have that once you got in, realized that it didn't match. You gave one example, Amber, but it didn't necessarily match reality, that you had to say, maybe I need to think twice about that. I'm going to go to you, Jalen, since Amber already gave an example.
It's a good question. Expectations I had going in.
Tim.
All right, we had this question before.
Yeah,
we had a counselor. That's a good one. I think a surprise for me would be, like, no matter the weight or the size of a decision you make, like the type of impact it can have on your spouse. Right? And I say that because, like, one area I found myself, self-reflecting on a lot was the consideration or lack thereof with her when a friend wants to hang out and, I'm used to operating from a place of independency where I can get up and go or do it and spend what I want to spend or do what I want to do. But now considering my wife, like, hey, so-and-so wants to do this or so-and-so wants us to come here. Are you available? Would you like to go? Do you even want to go? And so being mindful of those things, or if I do it, or I'm like, man, I want to go grab something to eat and I have a good time and enjoy the meal. And then she didn't eat or has to go to work. You know what I mean? So like, just sometimes it can seem so small to me where, after church, about to go grab a bite with my homeboy who I invited to church and he came, or to her, it can be a completely different weight to that decision. So that's something that I feel like surprised me, that regardless of the decision, it can have an impact on your spouse.
What do you believe caused her to have the different weight? Why do you believe she felt some kind of way, if it happened hypothetically or realistically? Why do you think she felt some kind of way about it?
Because I feel like in some way, she would want to be included, or at least be in the know. Right. And let's just say, if I'm not sure, like,
Amber, you can speak.
I don't know.
I'm glad that this is good. I like where this is going. But I think it's just good to just know that you're thought of, at the end of the day, it could be something that I completely don't care to do at all, but just to know that you are thought of, that makes a world of difference. I'll be honest. So to know that your husband is keeping you at the forefront of his mind. So yeah.
When it doesn't happen, how does it make you feel?
I would say that it makes me feel like not that I'm not cared for, but like, man, I feel like, what about little old me, Because I joke a lot, and so I feel like that is something that I would say, like, oh, babe, like, what about me, So yeah.
And I appreciate you even saying that, because we do say a lot of things in jest, especially when we are friends.
Right.
That you can say a lot of things in jest, but I've learned it wasn't the things that she said in jest, it would be the things that she didn't say anything about. And so when she wouldn't say anything, and eventually I would have to start thinking like, wait, did she feel some kind of way about that?
I did.
And then over time, I would just think about it. And now it was not a big deal the first year. But after I continuously did it, what it's doing is it's constantly creating this image of separation. And it's like, I always have to say, man, I don't ever want her to wonder if she is priority in my life. I never want her to wonder if somebody else, if I love someone or cares for someone more than her. So in my mind, it's like, all right, regardless of what it is that I'm doing, I'm thinking about, I always have to say, hey, what you doing? This is what I'm about to do. What are your thoughts? And most of the time she controls my calendar anyway. So I don't even commit anymore. And that's how I fixed it, is I won't commit to anything until I say, hey, what about da 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 da?
And I'm the excuse sometimes.
Well,
sometimes
vice
versa too. I was like, let me talk to my husband about that.
That's perfect. Man.
Yes.
That was his favorite thing. One of his favorite things. Is one of his favorite things. He couldn't wait to use that. As soon as day one.
Yeah, so sometimes the guys
like, I can't wait to say I gotta go with my wife.
Let me check on my wife and see what she's doing.
Yeah.
My wife got plans tonight. Yes. No plans at all.
Yeah, right.
You just put your...
That's okay. Yeah, all right.
Already. You won. Right. Blew up in the spot.
Right.
That's great. So even when you're thinking about feelings, have there ever been, how do y'all resolve or get back to, connectedness when you do have those moments?
Or disagreements?
I feel like the beautiful thing about it, praise be, that we haven't had many like heavy disagreements, but even the small things, I've noticed that the moment we just hug and just take a big deep breath and just sit in a hug for 2 minutes, I feel like that brings us back. We love a long
and I would say it's also laughter.
Yeah.
It's the laughter. Like one of us will do something, make a face, or say a reference that just causes the other to just crack a smile.
You're not even mad for real.
Yeah. It's like, get over it.
So, I think that's so important to keep laughter, keep the things that who you were and how you came into it, and in the mix of that, because I think there was times and seasons and spaces where silence was our thing. Like, I'm mad and I ain't saying nothing right now, and so again, I think it's this evolution of that. But I think it's finding those things, finding that space, finding the things of like, all right, we need to remain connected in that way so that it doesn't linger, that it doesn't become that space. So I'll shift us just a little bit. And so I know that, faith is a big part of your world, and how you all serve. And so how has faith kind of guided you, particularly in some of this first year? What is that? What does that look like for you all? And what role has God played in your marriage and in this first year?
I really think it starts with just the foundation of the marriage and being intentional with what we wanted and having the support and counseling of you both, and wanting to just set the tone for what our marriage would look like. And I think that it has translated into where we are today, or more so evolved, because we just choose him first daily, and just make that very clear. And I think that she does a good job of just reminding me of my role as the lead. And so I would say, like, with that, like prayer, say like we don't, or at least to my knowledge, yet within the first year, don't go a day without praying together at some point in time in the day. And I would say, like, particularly when we're having meals, like we are being intentional with having meals together, like having dinner together. And during that time, she made that look, go ahead and pray. And so I feel like that, just knowing that like she wants to be led, like it does mean a lot, and definitely helps keep me on point. And we just have those conversations often, like, how can we continue to live our lives in such a way, one that brings God glory, that promotes marriage and shows others that this is something that you should desire. And if God puts it on your heart, like, it's possible to do. And that obviously doesn't mean that we're perfect in any way, but we are striving to show up, one for the Lord first daily, and then for one another. So, even when we aren't together, like, I'm praying on her behalf, like, Lord, continue to cover her, but then also help me just be the best version of myself for this marriage.
Yeah.
You mentioned role. Are the role that you have, because I know you mentioned it in the context of prayer, but did y'all define roles? How did y'all come up with who was going to have what role? And just talk a little bit more about that.
Mm.
I feel like we had a conversation in regards to what we were strong at and going into like in premarital counseling. So I think we took that and ran with it, and it definitely helped, which is why I think we didn't have too many like knocking each other's knocking heads, because we knew what our strengths were and how to show up in that area. And even if it was unspoken, like noticing things about him is like, okay, I noticed that you do this well, so pushing him, because sometimes we do need that push, because we don't see see things for ourselves, and our partner will see it before we do. And so being able to push him and him pushing me, and we are able to work off of that with each other.
So dang it, helpmate, huh?
Come on, helpmate. Come on.
That's what it is.
I think I love what both of you all said, and especially I think in the context of like our current culture and particularly like your generation and even younger, around this idea of you talked about you want him to lead you, and that you're taking on that leading role. And so often I feel like culturally it's like, I don't need nobody telling me what to do. I don't need this and that. Submission. And so submission, like that's a cuss word. Like I ain't telling him what to do. When I think deep down inside, everybody wants somebody to lead and be a helpmate around. So have you felt like, with you openly sharing that, how has that been for you too? Especially because you mentioned earlier about being independent and control, but now it's like, well, no, I want him to lead. How has that been for you in terms of letting him lead in that way? Because downloading in the car. What are you saying?
I feel like you mentioned, deep down at the core, that's what I desire. And so I feel like anytime it comes up where I'm in my own way, I know that's my flesh at that point. And so just acknowledging that and figuring out like, okay, why am I, not comfortable with him leading in this area? And like doing some more self-reflection in that. So,
that's interesting, because you also mentioned the dichotomy of, I want to be independent, but I want to be led. And so a lot of people don't understand that that's a fight within you sometimes, because submitting is important, but you're supposed to submit to him as he submits to the Lord. And if a lot of times people have a problem with submitting to whomever, I'll say a lot of times, excuse me, the wife has problems submitting to the man because he may not be a reflection of who God has called him to be. And so therefore it's a push where she's trying to make him become that. And so it doesn't sound like that was something that you all are wrestling with. It sounds like, I don't remember which one of y'all just mentioned premarital coaching, but I saw a couple of videos where people were talking about, I don't need that. So talk about and they say they don't need it because they feel like they've already been through enough, and they've already been through a lot with each other. So they feel like they know each other. And in some instances, they've even lived together. And so they feel like, I don't need anybody to tell me about the other person, because I know them. So share a little bit about if you were giving advice to couples nowadays, should they or should they not have premarital coaching, and what benefits do you say that it had for you?
You are doing yourself a disservice if you don't.
Absolutely.
Truthfully, like I really believe that in really seeking wise counsel, because just when I think about wisdom, I feel like you have two types of people. Like you have people who will learn wisdom after being told what to do or seeing the life of someone else, but they have to do it anyway to learn the lesson on the other side of it. But then you have the person like myself, or at least I strive to be, to take heed to what's being told. And it's like, okay, I got it. So if you tell me the stove is hot and I can see the consequences of you touching the stove, I believe you.
Yeah.
I don't have to go say, I see, but let me go touch the stove anyway. Mm-hmm. And so I think in terms of like premarital counseling, you were able to give us experience. You were able to give us sound wisdom on some of your own personal struggles, on the things that went well for you, because I feel like it gives you speed. It gave us speed. And so there were many nuggets that I still hold on to today. And one of those particularly, I know you talked about you all having that conversation where you told Latanya, like, I'm not going anywhere, right? Like, because of whatever was going on in that time, right? You can give context to that, but it took you to actually verbalize that for her to feel confident. And like, even though I know subconsciously you aren't going anywhere, like to know that there is nothing that you could do, that you could say that will cause me to leave. It's just small things like that, that when I show up and I communicate or whatever the case may be in our marriage, like I want her to know that and feel that and experience that. So that's one example of the many things that we got from our time together. But marriage is another level of commitment. And I feel like it takes for two to be humble enough to go sit before someone to not just be talked to, but like you told us, like the seat that you sat in for us, what to ask questions to get us to hear each other and to talk to one another. Because I know for sure on date night or times that we spent together in college dating and even the engagement period, that I never fathomed asking her. And so it took us to sit with someone that has some years of experience to be like, I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. Or to do things such as, like, I know I can tend to process quicker, but you were asking things where I'm like, I have no answer. I need to write this down, put this in my notes. We can talk about it the next session we get to, or we're going to have some conversations later over a meal or something like that I feel like it really helps you, because I don't care what anyone says. When you are not married and you aren't living together, you always have some type of out.
Yeah.
Right. But when you understand the difference between a contract and a covenant,
come on.
Like, I know that we are making this commitment with the Lord. And so with us choosing to live together, it's like till death, when we gave those vows, and it takes you to be in counseling to really understand the depth and the weight of those vows, to be like, oh, like, this is what I'm signing up for. Do I really want that?
That's it. That's it.
Do I really want it?
That's it.
You hit the nail on the head, hit it on the head again. My God.
Say that you have anything to add.
That's it. Yeah.
No, that's really
That
good.
was
I appreciate
good.
that. And so when you think about, you guys are a year in, a little over a year and how many days? A couple more, 15 days in.
Right.
That's awesome.
Counting.
And so a lot of times, first of all, I saw y'all took another beautiful 1-year trip somewhere. So y'all can tell me about, was it Cabo? Where was it?
Cancun.
Okay, let's go. And so when you look back on year one, a lot of times you can, because a lot of times people say, oh, the Lord told me, but a lot of times you don't know to understand the Lord until you look back and know, like, oh, God's hand was all over that. So when you look back over the first year, give us a couple of examples where God was in the midst of it. And how have you grown spiritually because of you have been together?
That is a great question.
Yeah. I think early on, like, Amber had a few like health scares. So I had some like issues with her neck.
I remember.
And it was something else. And I feel like immediately in those moments, I was just thinking about, man, in sickness and in health. Like, like early on, like, get married, it's fun, it's exciting. As some will say, the honeymoon period. And so you have an expectation. So there we go. Expectation that everything will be well. Everything will be great. There will be no issues, no problem. And if it is, we just gonna brush over it like nothing ever happened. But like those were moments where, you know, given our circumstances at the time, working in the city and being further away from home, and we're having these health scares, I'm like, okay, this is a moment where she is top priority. So I'm going to, you know, I'm leaving. Yeah. I need to go check on my wife. I passed out once at home. Need to go home and check on her. And so flying across the highway to get home to ensure that she's okay, she's well, has the medication, has all the things that she needs at home, taking her to the doctor's office and all of the things that went into it. And I think like that was like a moment early where I'm like, okay, this is time for me to step up and time for me to show up and for her to see that. And like even in the midst of it, you know, just trusting God in it as well.
You're leading your household.
Yeah, come on.
Leading your household.
Come on.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think something else that came up as well, we both are in new positions for work.
Man.
And so that process, going through it, it was testing because he went through several rounds of interviews, and just keeping him encouraged through that, especially knowing the place that he was in with his previous job. So that took a lot of process. That took a lot of faith and just trusting that God was going to see us through it together and that it was going to work out, and it did. So,
amen.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so great when you're able to be in a place where the person who you're doing these vows with now, you can trust them through that process and lean on that. That's kind of the building of that team, of that, you know, that winning team, and to know how you're going to show up, how you're going to lead, how you now have said this is now the priority. And I often share with wives, and you talked about how you often had to encourage Jalen during that process. Often our voices have so much weight.
Man,
the words that we say, and I think particularly as women, I think there's a space. It is something when Eugene encourages me, like if I need a cheerleader, like he is down for the cause, but I also understood the weight of my voice. And it was oftentimes when there was some hard times that literally God would shut my mouth. Like I often give the example of how I sometimes would feel the words in my throat because he didn't need me to hear that. He needed to hear God at that moment. And there was and I don't even know if I knew as deep spiritually that what it was, but I was like, no, I'm ready to say this. I'm mad. I'm about to pop off and popping off on his behalf, not, you know, necessarily at him, but I wanted to be mad. But it was like, nope, shut your mouth. And I heard God tell me your voice has weight. And so it either has weight to destroy him or it has weight to encourage him. So keep using those words to do that thing, to speak into your marriage, and being prayerful over what that looks like, because our voices have a lot of weight on them and change decisions, you know. So I have to, if I'm out here saying something, I got to make sure that I can stand on business on that if I'm going to change my mind in some way, because I do know that influence in a good way. Like I don't use it in manipulation, like I'm not using it to manipulate him, but like God, who does he need to hear, and what does he need to hear, and how does he need me to show up at this time? Because there were seasons, and God always knew how to give us the words at the right time. You know, it'll be seasons where it's like, I'm done, you know, and we often tell the story of, we had it was a financial meltdown, and like I literally melted down in our kitchen. Like I was like, this ain't how life's supposed to be. He'd be like, we'll be fine. But later on, he told the story though of how my words made him feel as a man. And I never thought about it in that context around like him hearing me say that this situation is horrible, was now questioning his manhood.
Right.
But we never, like literally probably till we started doing this podcast. But again, the weight of those words, you know, but we always found a way to now come back and now be supportive of one another.
For
like,
sure.
all right, like we didn't melt down at the same time, you know? And so
that was
I think
God's grace, purely God's grace.
Yeah.
Is that, you know, and again, that's when I say looking back on it, because during that financial time, we didn't notice, but we would be driving home crying about our situation. And what's crazy is it was even before we, you know, started to worship at Victory, and we would be listening to Smokey Norfolk CDs on our way home. And she would be crying, I would be crying, and then we would get ourselves together before we got home, and then we would be fine for each other. And we didn't notice until years later, we would say, once we told the story. And then there were some times where that ride home didn't do it for her, but I was fine. And then there was some times when the ride home didn't do it for me, but she was fine. But God never allowed us in those 3 or 4 year period to both be down at the same time. Whenever I was down, she was up. And so we encouraged each other to say, we can do this, we got this. And so when I look back on that, I'm like, God, you are amazing. Because if it would have been any moment where we both would have been down, we probably wouldn't be living in Illinois anymore. We probably would have moved back to Michigan.
Wow.
And Lord knows where I would be right now. Like, who knows what we would be doing. And so oftentimes when you talk about expectations, better, worse, richer, poor, sickness, and health, people get married for better, for richer, and for health.
Right.
And when you're on that wedding day, you're thinking about better, richer, health.
Especially when you put all that money into it. It gotta be good.
It got to be good.
But I really need people to
that's real.
That marriage is not about better, richer, health. Marriage is about worse, poor, and sickness. Because you have to be looking at the person across from you saying, will they be there? And is this the type of person that I want sitting across from me when things are worse, when I'm sick, and when we don't have any money? But usually that's when people say, oh, I didn't get married for this. Yes, you did.
You
actually did.
You said it. You said it.
Like
a whole lot of witnesses.
And it wasn't even in the fine print.
It was the main print. That was the main print.
Yeah. We did. Yeah. And so a lot of times, you know, in premarital coaching, like the goal is to get you to think about the worst, the sickness, and the poor. And because if any inkling of y'all can say, I'm not sure she want to do this, I'm not sure he want to do this, then you have an opportunity to say, you know what? Let's just not before this starts. And so expectations, truly, I think that's something that I'm excited about to hear, you know, as you all are entering into year 2. So as you enter into year 2, what is God saying? What are your expectations as y'all enter into year 2?
I feel like that's what we are actively
like talking about and really seeking the Lord for. So I feel like the very question has been like our sentiment or questions that we've asked each other. I feel like the first year, if we were to put a word on that year, it kind of speaks to what you were talking about, Latanya, like finding your rhythm, because it's so early. And so I know for me, like year 1, I'm like, let's just use like the financial for a standpoint. You know, you're coming into it, and I know prior to marriage, I'm like, I want to get comfortable or build the disciplines in my own, you know, financial stewardship, let alone getting into marriage, and we're combining everything. And so now I have, the way I said, an entire human beings, you know, like to consider on top of mine and put them together. And she expected them. You ain't wrong. Yeah, and she expect me to lead her and steward. And I'm like, shoot, I ain't the best doing it myself, let alone both of us. Shoot. And so, you know, that can cause, you know, like some insecurity. And I would be calling Gabe with like, look, hey, no, seriously. And so it's just, you know, things like that. And so I feel like finding that rhythm financially, finding it emotionally. And like we were just talking about the other day, you know, from even like a physical and sexual standpoint, like what are those expectations? And so, you know, like I talked about me being an early riser and her not being like, okay, like what does this, like, what does that look like?
Yeah, come on now.
What does that look like? All right.
All right, good job for you.
And then it was necessary because if you don't, then you just leave disappointed. Like, okay. And right. Especially me, like one of my love languages is physical touch. And so I'm like, man, you don't, just a rub down my back, that's something.
I'm rubbing his dream right now. Exactly.
Just something. You know, so a lot of year one is really finding the rhythm. And so lately, you know, transparently, the conversations have been, okay, we know going in, we said, okay, we want to give ourselves 1 to 2 years before we think about children. Like enjoy us, travel, get to know each other, because we know priorities will shift when you have kids. And you know, we're thinking about our educational trajectories, right? Wanting to go back and pursue degrees. And so being prayerful on who's going back first. Are we both going to be back in school? You know, we have new jobs. And so it's a lot of different factors and variables that we're considering. But all in all, I think the expectation for this next year is to really put our heads down and to grind. To really grind, you know, to save, to pay down the debts and really grow. And so I feel like that's what a lot of our conversations have looked like lately.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm sorry, Amber, I'll let you talk first and then I'll.
Oh, no, go ahead.
It's one of those moments where you say, put your head down and grind. But what I heard is put your head down and pray.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Because I did. And you said grind. But, you know, one of the scriptures that we have adopted in this season is commit your plans to the Lord and they will be established. And I think if I would have heard that and understood that early on, I would not have grind so much. And so I think in early on, we spent a lot of time figuring it. Well, I spent a lot of time trying to prove it to myself and to her that I was worthy of being the man of the house and that I could do it. And again, this is hindsight thinking about it, because I didn't have the relationship with the Lord that I have today. And so, you know, the other thing that has happened is that I have evolved and changed. She has evolved and changed. Not only spiritually, but emotionally, mentally, physically, etc. And so you all are learning each other still. While learning yourself. Because now that you're in the context of marriage, marriage is actually revealing to you more who you are and who God has called you to be. And so before, you were pursuing God's purpose for your life and God's purpose for your life. And now he's saying, all right, now it's time for y'all to move forward together. And so I heard, I don't know who it was. So whoever get credit. But he said, he was talking about money in the context of marriage. He said 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. 1 + 1 = 11. And I was like, bro, like, I didn't know. Like, that's crazy. I'm like, that don't even make sense. And so I dismissed it. And I was in a premarital coaching session the other day, and I was like, oh, I got it. Because if you think about it, you are one. She is one. God didn't say, bring part of you together and bring, he said, yes, the two shall become one, but the two shall become one unit. You still are who you are. And so when you bring your whole self together and your whole self together, 1 and 1 coming together is 11. It's not. And so now when you come together, there's so much more that you need to consider and think about when you're trying to bring your two worlds together. And so I was like, man, that is like a great revelation. Because oftentimes people try to 1 and 1 coming together. And so what happens is people fight because they feel like they're losing themselves. And when you feel like you're losing yourselves, I can't submit to that. But if you all create a space as you're getting to know each other, where you can still be you and you can still be you, because that's what God is expecting,
For
you
sure.
to be who you are. And now when you come into it, y'all both are whole when you come in, but you create something completely different that God can then use, that's way more than what you would have done if you were just as individuals. And so my prayer is that when you put your head down in this second year, that it won't have to be a grind, but it'll be a revelation of what God wants to do. And then when God reveals it to you, then your helpmate can come alongside you, and as God has designed her to do it, and then y'all can move forward together with all that God has given. And so I'm really excited. I'm really excited about what God is doing, because I think the other thing that people miss is the evolution of self. And the one thing I really value, because you said, I don't know if education is first. Like, she went back to school first to get her master's, and I was like, what's that master's thing you're doing?
In our first year of marriage.
Year of marriage.
Wow.
First year of marriage. I was in school. Man, I was finishing up. Our first year of marriage.
Like, maybe I'll do that too. And so then I went back and started, to get my master's. And so she's graduating, and now I'm in the middle of it. And then she like, then we had a baby. He was like, oh man, wait, baby? You think about having a baby? And then
in the middle of him finishing school.
In the middle of me finishing school. And then it was like, baby,
new rhythm.
Oh, wait a minute, new rhythm. Every 2 years,
new rhythm inside of the rhythm.
Every 2 years, there was something that happened in our marriage that made our rhythm shift. But you had to be open to that rhythm. And so once we saw it, we were like, every 2 years. 2 years, we bought a house in the middle of that rhythm. And then right when we were like, all right, we're having a baby. Then I got tapped on my shoulder and said, hey, y'all got to move to Illinois. I'm like, wow. And so it's like the rhythm. But at the same time, as I look back on it, it was a rhythm that it was submitted to the will of God. Because every single time, because we committed our plans to the Lord, and again, this is hindsight, we were very clear when to say no. But it was not always clear when to say yes, but it was like, that's not it. Oh, wait, this is it. And so you would know, oh yeah, this is God. And then we would say yes, didn't know what it was for. But we were like, all right, here we go. So that's my prayer for you, is that you put the head down.
That's great. That's great.
And as we are wrapping up, I want to first just say, like, thank you all for doing this. And I think for so many reasons, your story, and we didn't even I get to the meat of the story. We will just yes. We got more with the Joneses, but I think for me, what's so encouraging, having a young adult who really looks up to both of you all. I think it's encouraging to see young people love. And committing to marriage in a godly way, committing to being in a partnership and being in, because a lot of what you all talked about was about building the Team Jones. We always gonna have some team related things here.
Give me that
and
look.
So always building Team Jones. And so I think for, again, as I mentioned earlier, just culturally, you don't see what you all have. And I think for me, that was one of the reasons why I really wanted you all on the podcast, from a Gen. Are y'all Gen Z? What are y'all? What are y'all? Wow.
I think we are the start
the year
of Gen.
We're the start.
Millennials.
So I actually like this.
But I claim the millennials.
I claim millennial.
Okay, in that, y'all in there.
We're right at the cusp.
Millennial.
Yeah.
But y'all know.
Okay. Let me get y'all. So, but I just love that the babies, whatever they are to us, they the babies to us.
You remember when we was talking about Starman Trip? We was talking about something over dinner, and they were like,
they weren't even born.
It was like, oh, we weren't born.
They weren't born.
we was like
college. We had graduated from college. I think we were married. It was like,
we weren't even born yet.
Yeah, we weren't born. I said, all right. moving on from that conversation make us feel like 5 million years old, but you know, we still love you. We love that y'all like to hang with us, even though you weren't born in this instance, you know. But I think because it goes such against, my point was like what is going against culturally. And so my prayer is that because you're telling your stories and that we'll be able to share this, that it will give hope to, you know, to young people that love is still loving, you know, love is still loving.
Love is still loving.
And that it's still important to, you know, be in a partnership with someone, and it's not, and I'm in partnership, and I'm not in a what you can do for me or what I can do for you. That
like
being that
transactional.
That it's not what you are showing, that you're not transactional, but that you're relational. And so I just pray that you continue to show that, and that continues to exude into the airways and into spaces, even into the young people that you all serve with in, you know, in youth ministry. I think it's amazing for them to see you serving and serving together in ministry, because you get to be that example and showing something different. So we love the Joneses and are so grateful for you to be in your first year, to be our first guest. Come on, so first, and that you are, you know, that God continues to bless and keep you all in your marriage and where you're going next. And so I thank you for that.
And to that point, we will have them back, because there is a huge generational gap between us and them, and I believe they have huge. Yeah, they're saying I'll be old, you know, right? But I'm just saying that there's a lot of opportunity for us to learn, because who we are as a couple and how we got together and what they actually faced during this day and age. We will talk about that on a future episode. So stay tuned. So again, Jalen, Amber, thank y'all so much for being on the W3 Winning Team podcast. Any closing thoughts? Anything y'all want to share with the people? You know, handles or where to find y'all, or anything in closing remarks?
Man, I would say in closing, I really love just the concept. I told y'all this offline, just the concept of the podcast, and I feel like it's something that we've been able to adopt in our own marriage. One, being former athletes, you know, we are able to, you know, approach marriage as a team. Like it means a lot. And so we appreciate the example that y'all have set for us and so many others that tune in and that subscribe. And so thank y'all, because we are definitely building a winning team for sure.
Because we are not the only winning team. If you're married, you can be a winning team too. Look out for merch. Don't be stealing our stuff.
Man.
But God bless, and y'all have a good day. Peace.